Thomas Szasz's thought-provoking statement, people often say that this or that person has not yet found himself. But the self is not something one finds, it is something one creates, challenges conventional notions of identity and self-understanding. This quote invites a deeper exploration into how we perceive the self, the process of self-discovery, and how identity is not a fixed entity, but an ongoing creation. For many, the idea of finding oneself suggests a journey of uncovering something hidden or intrinsic within, an already existing essence waiting to be revealed. But Szasz's assertion that the self is something that must be created reframes this notion and presents identity as a dynamic and ever-evolving project, rather than a static discovery. In this exploration, we will delve into the meaning of Szasz's words, the psychological and philosophical underpinnings of his statement, and the implications for personal development. By examining various aspects of human psychology, cultural influences, and the philosophies that shape our understanding of the self, we can better grasp the significance of Szasz's claim that the self is a creation and not a discovery. The traditional notion of finding the self. For centuries, the concept of self has been understood as a discovery, a search for one's true nature or purpose. This idea stems from the works of philosophers like Plato, who believed that the soul contains innate knowledge that is uncovered through reason and introspection. In modern contexts, finding yourself is often portrayed as a personal quest to uncover hidden truths or authentic identities that are buried under the weight of societal expectations, conditioning, or past experiences. The cultural understanding of finding oneself is prominent in many narratives. In literature, film, and other forms of art, protagonists often embark on journeys of self-discovery, where they uncover truths about themselves, their place in the world, and their purpose. These quests typically involve moments of revelation, where the character finds clarity and a sense of direction after a period of confusion or disillusionment. This popularization of the idea suggests that selfhood is something innate, waiting to be uncovered. However, this view does not fully align with the complexities of human existence, as individuals are not merely passive entities who find themselves. Instead, the construction of identity is an active and ongoing process, influenced by choices, experiences, and societal dynamics. As Szasz's quote suggests, the idea of the self as something to be found implies a sense of passivity and determinism, whereas the self is far more malleable and subject to personal agency and creation. The self as a creation, the role of agency and choice. Szasz's assertion that the self is something one creates introduces the concept of personal agency and the power of choice in shaping one's identity. This perspective aligns with existential philosophy, particularly the works of Jean-Paul Sartre, who argued that existence precedes essence. According to Sartre, humans are not born with a predefined nature. Rather, they create their essence through the choices they make throughout their lives. The act of choosing, of creating meaning and purpose, is central to human existence. In this view, individuals are not defined by their past experiences or societal roles, but by the decisions they make in each moment. The creation of the self is a dynamic process, where individuals continuously redefine themselves based on new experiences, reflections, and desires. The self is thus an ongoing project, shaped by both conscious decisions and unconscious influences. The idea that the self is created rather than found can be liberating. It places responsibility in the hands of the individual, empowering them to actively shape their identity rather than waiting for some external force or revelation to provide them with clarity. This perspective invites a more proactive approach to personal growth and self-understanding, encouraging people to reflect on their values, desires, and goals, and to make intentional choices that align with their evolving sense of self. The role of social context in self-creation. While personal agency plays a significant role in the creation of the self, it is also important to acknowledge the influence of social, cultural, and environmental factors on identity formation. The process of self-creation does not occur in a vacuum. Individuals are shaped by the context in which they live. From family upbringing and cultural norms to historical circumstances and economic structures, the social environment significantly impacts the ways in which people define themselves. Szasz's statement does not imply that the self is entirely free from external influence. Rather, it suggests that while we are shaped by our environment, we still retain the capacity to choose how we respond to these influences. In other words, the self is created through a negotiation between individual agency and social context. For instance, an individual born into a particular cultural or socio-economic background may initially be influenced by the values, beliefs, and expectations of that environment. However, through critical reflection and self-awareness, they can choose to either accept or reject these influences. The creation of the self, therefore, involves a process of questioning, evaluating, and integrating or transforming the external factors that shape one's identity. This dynamic interaction between personal agency and social influence can be seen in the development of various aspects of identity, including gender, ethnicity, career, and relationships. People may adopt certain social roles or identities because they align with societal expectations or personal aspirations. Yet over time, they may revise or redefine these roles as they gain new experiences or perspectives. Psychological theories on self-creation. Psychology provides valuable insights into the process of self-creation. Several psychological theories emphasize the importance of personal agency, self-awareness, and self-actualization in the development of identity. Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development focuses on how individuals navigate different challenges throughout their lifespan. According to Erikson, identity formation is a central task during adolescence, when individuals explore various roles, values, and beliefs to establish a coherent sense of self. This stage, known as identity versus role confusion, is marked by experimentation and reflection as individuals attempt to create a stable identity. However, Erikson also acknowledges that identity is not a fixed entity. Rather, it continues to evolve throughout life as individuals encounter new experiences and challenges. The process of self-creation, therefore, is ongoing, and people must continually adapt and redefine their identities in response to changing circumstances. Carl Rogers and self-actualization. Carl Rogers, a humanistic psychologist, proposed that self-actualization, the realization of one's fullest potential, is the ultimate goal of human development. Rogers believed that individuals are born with an inherent drive toward growth and self-improvement, but this potential can only be fully realized when people are able to create an authentic and congruent sense of self. According to Rogers, the ideal self is not something that is found or imposed, but is something that emerges through a process of self-exploration, self-awareness, and the alignment of one's actions with their core values. Rogers emphasized the importance of unconditional positive regard from others in this process. When individuals receive acceptance and support from others, they are more likely to develop a healthy self-concept and the freedom to create an authentic self. Conversely, the absence of such support can lead to a fragmented sense of self, as individuals may adopt false personas to meet external expectations. Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory. Albert Bandura's social cognitive theory highlights the role of self-efficacy in the creation of the self. Self-efficacy refers to an individual's belief in their ability to influence events in their lives and achieve desired outcomes. According to Bandura, people are more likely to engage in behaviors and make decisions that align with their perceived self-efficacy, thereby actively shaping their identities. Self-efficacy is developed through experiences of success, observation of others, and verbal encouragement. As individuals gain confidence in their abilities, they are more likely to take risks, pursue goals, and create new opportunities for growth. In this sense, self-efficacy is a key component of the self-creation process, as it empowers individuals to take control of their lives and define who they are. The influence of modern society on self-creation. In today's rapidly changing world, the process of self-creation is more complex than ever. Globalization, technological advancements, and the rise of social media have created new opportunities for self-expression, but they have also introduced new challenges. The constant flow of information and the pressure to conform to societal standards can make it difficult for individuals to engage in authentic self-creation. Social media, for example, has created a platform for individuals to curate and present idealized versions of themselves, often leading to a disconnect between their true selves and their online personas. The desire for validation through likes, shares, and followers can create a false sense of identity, where individuals may prioritize external approval over internal authenticity. Furthermore, the rapid pace of technological change has led to an environment where individuals are constantly adapting to new roles and identities. The rise of automation and artificial intelligence, for example, has transformed the job market, creating new opportunities and challenges for career identity. The increasing demand for constant productivity and efficiency can lead individuals to feel pressured to define themselves by their work rather than by their intrinsic values and passions. Conclusion: the self as a creative process. Szasz's quote invites us to rethink the way we view the self. Rather than searching for something to uncover, the self is something that must be actively created. This process of self-creation is an ongoing journey that involves reflection, choice, and adaptation. The self is not a fixed essence to be found, but a dynamic entity that evolves in response to personal agency, social influences, and the ever-changing circumstances of life. By embracing the notion that the self is something we create, we can take ownership of our identities and become active participants in the process of personal growth. The creation of the self is not a one-time event, but an ongoing project that requires continuous effort, self-awareness, and reflection. It is through this creative process that we become the architects of our own identities, shaping who we are and who we wish to become.